What is plot? In the simplest definition, it's the completed story, beginning, middle, and end joined. What that doesn't do is tell you how to make one. One way to look at it, plot is the significant moments of the story. They are important because they have consequences. Plot is built on tiny details. The movie Memento, for instance, it runs backwards and forwards, and little tiny bits of the future are given to you. A more simplistic interpretation of plot. It's cause and effect. Something happens, because of that, something else happens. You don't get your tires changed or rotated regularly, then you'll get a flat tire. You'll have a bad accident. What's the plot? You quit your job, you don't have rent money, you become homeless. Plot is the way the characters think, feel, and act. If those aspects line up to consequences that lead to the story changing directions. One idea that every author should ask is, does this event impact the story? Or is it just something that can be cut and nothing different will happen? By cause and effect, that's what I mean. Does it affect the events to come? That is plot. When you plot something, you're looking at those important events and showing it to be important. Because of the way it's constructed, you highlight it with a spotlight. You point to it over and over and over again. There's a gun in the first act. You make mention of the gun 1 time, 2 times, 3 times. Then when you use the gun, it's not a shock. There's an anticipatory response to that gun. This time builds on something. That's the plot. You know that gun is important to the story. When you have that gun, the reader understands that there is something at stake, something to keep them glued to that page. There's something valuable to gain in saving a life or taking a life, something to be lost or gained. You can look at it as fighting. That element goes against the grain. There's going to be resistance. There's going to be a cause and effect. The planet spins around the sun. That spinning around the sun causes a energy that grips and pulls. We call it gravity. Strong forces, strong rules. There is a momentum because of it. When you think about gravity, you know that the Earth is spinning around the sun. That is one of the forces at play. The Earth is the other. The humans on the planet are a third. And because of the first and because of the second, the third have to have rules. The Wright brothers decided to break those rules by using other rules to make their engineering work. It is, at the end of the day, action for reward. Action to avoid punishment. Action because it requires it, because it necessitates it, because it was asked. Action. Not sitting, not doing nothing, but an action that leads consequence. Always ask yourself, the consequence of this action will be what happens next. More action, more consequence. Get the movie Sully. The action is the captain of the plane is piloting the craft. He's doing his job. The consequence of that is sometimes you run afoul of nature. No pun intended. But the plane does hit geese and the engines go out, and the consequence is Sully is forced to fly the plane in a manner that is not normal to survive. The consequence of that is he has to land on the Hudson River. The consequence of that is that the people live. And the consequence of that is that Sully is a hero. And even with that, Sully's main goal was to get the plane from point A to point B. The geese didn't intend to crash the plane. They just happened to be mathematically in the right place at the right time. But the universe put them together. Fate is ultimately at fault. In fact, that might be the easiest job of the writer. You focus on that struggle that action causes. You focus on that fight and how to win.